some sticky on my chair. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
Swap it with one next to it until I can clean it.
They're playing as we speak.
Yeah.
They're semifinals. Okay, is everyone ready? I'd like to call the Monday, March 7, 2022 City Council meeting in Oakwood to order. Before we go to the pledge, I would like to ask for a moment of silence to recognize the brave people of Ukraine suffering under war crimes from Vladimir Putin and his Russian army. So if you join me with a moment of silence and a prayer. Thank you. The Ukrainian word is Slava Ukraini. Glory to Ukraine. So let's now stand for the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May I have a roll call, please, Lori?
Mayor Duncan?
Here.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Here.
Mr. Stevens?
Here.
Mrs. Hilton? Here. Mrs. Turbin?
And may I have a report on the minutes of our February 7 regular session, work session, and February 28 work session and executive session? Councilmember Hilton.
Yes, Your Honor. I've reviewed the minutes from all 4 of those meetings, and I found them to be correct and complete, and therefore I move that they be adopted as written.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So ordered. Next, under status reports, we have some citizen committee appointments to be approved tonight. We have some reappointments on our budget review committee. Frederick Dudding, Howard Booz, Jim Brose, Sarah Wechter, and Susie Elliott have agreed to serve an additional term on our budget review committee. And on our board of health, we have Dr. Sally Wilson, DO, and Dr. Bill Coyne, DDS, to serve an additional term on our Board of Health. And on our tax, water and sewer Assembly Appeals Board, Ellen Fodge, CPA, has also agreed to serve another term. And then we have some new appointments on our Property Maintenance Board. Jean Buzel, Brian Wright, Amanda Koch, Amanda Koch and Bill McCarty. And then on our Personnel Appeals Board, we have John Fernending. So I would make a motion that these people be appointed to the Citizens Committee, and ask for a second.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. That will also be so ordered. We still have, I think, one opening on our Budget Review Committee, and I think we have about 3 or 4 openings on our Property Maintenance Committee. So we will try to get those resolved and have our full slate of volunteers by our April meeting. This would be the time for visitors, and I see no visitors. So therefore, we will not have a visitors report unless our publisher from the Oakwood Register wishes to address us. All right. And then we will then immediately go to legislation, and Vice Mayor Byington has an ordinance.
Yes, Your Honor, this is an ordinance to repeal the Oakwood Property Maintenance Code in its entirety, which was based upon the 2003 International Property Maintenance Code, and to adopt a new Oakwood Property Maintenance Code based on the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code. This is actually the second reading of an ordinance to update our Property Maintenance Code. For many years, our local Property Maintenance Code has been based upon the model code known as the 2003 International Property Maintenance Code, or IPMC, with a number of adjustments to tailor that model code to Oakwood's needs. Staff has been working on a code update to transition Oakwood to the latest 2021 version of the IPMC. The new code is intended to streamline the administration of our property maintenance code, but not to make any major substantive changes. Among these administrative changes, we are aligning our property maintenance districts with Oakwood's voting precincts. Currently have 15 citizens serving on the property maintenance board, 3 from each of the 5 districts. With the updated code, we will have 24 citizens serving on the board, 3 from each of the 8 new precincts. So this is the second reading of this ordinance, and I move the council adopt it tonight.
Do we have a second? Are there any questions or comments for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
And Vice Mayor Byington also has another ordinance.
Yes, this is also a second reading, and this is an ordinance to provide by mutual agreement for the adjustment of the boundary line between the cities of Oakwood and Kettering. This is an ordinance to approve an adjustment of the shared corporate boundary line with the city of Kettering. Although minor, the importance of these changes came to light when Kettering began its project to upgrade the Ridgeway Road Bridge. The existing corporate boundary follows an irregular path in the vicinity of the bridge. The boundary veers into West Dorothy Lane on both sides of Ridgeway Road, placing parts of West Dorothy Lane and the bridge in both cities. It also follows an odd L-shaped path at Fairmont Avenue, placing part of that street in both cities. This adjustment will address these irregularities by aligning the boundary with the northern edge of West Dorothy Lane, except for a stub that is being created at Ridgeway Road. This is, in effect, a housekeeping measure to ensure that all of West Dorothy Lane and the entire bridge right-of-way, including its northern approach, are under the jurisdiction of the city of Kettering, and all of Fairmont Avenue will be under the jurisdiction of the city of Oakwood. This adjustment is being done by mutual agreement with Kettering and requires approval by Oakwood City Council, Kettering City Council, and the Montgomery County Commissioners. We anticipate approval by Kettering and the county later this month, with the documents to be recorded thereafter. And as I mentioned, I think this is a second reading of this ordinance, and I move that council adopt it tonight.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, any questions for Vice Mayor Byington? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
Next on our agenda, Councilmember Stevens has a resolution.
Thank you, Mayor Duncan. A resolution declaring the necessity of improving certain streets between certain termini in the city of Oakwood, Ohio by lighting the same with electricity. This is an annual resolution that is the first step of our 2023 street lighting program. We are required by law to pass several pieces of legislation to provide street lighting each year. The first is this resolution declaring the necessity of street lighting throughout the city. I will also be introducing the second piece, the quote, ordinance to proceed for the project, but this will be its first reading and will not vote on that ordinance until our April meeting. The third piece of legislation, an ordinance to levy assessments for certain street light costs, will be introduced as a first reading at our April meeting, followed by a final assessment ordinance to be introduced in July. I move the council adopt this resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any questions for Councilmember Stevens? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
And then Councilmember Stevens also has an ordinance.
This ordinance will determine to proceed with the improvement of certain streets between certain termini in the city of Oakwood, Ohio by lighting the same with electricity. This is an annual ordinance that is the second step of the 2023 street lighting program. It is the ordinance that authorizes the city to proceed with the project. This is the first reading of this ordinance, so I make no motion at this time.
And we'll adopt that next month, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then finally, I have a resolution, and it is a resolution authorizing an updated agreement with Montgomery County, the Office of Emergency Management, to provide emergency management services for the city of Oakwood in Montgomery County, Ohio. In 2003, Oakwood entered into a multi-jurisdictional agreement that allows the Montgomery County Office of Emergency Management to provide emergency management services to communities throughout the county. These services are a critical part of the city's emergency planning response. The agreement has not been updated since it was implemented 19 years ago. Montgomery County has proposed an updated and revised agreement that is generally similar to the original agreement but requires renewal every 3 years. This will offer periodic opportunities to revise and adjust the agreement, ensuring that it continues to meet the emergency management needs of the entire region. The resolution I am introducing will authorize the city's continued participation in this multi-jurisdictional agreement. So I move that council adopt this resolution and would ask for a second.
Second.
Any other questions regarding this resolution? Hearing none, Lori, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Duncan?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Byington?
Yes.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mrs. Hilton?
Yes.
Mrs. Turbin?
That concludes our legislation this evening. We have our Personnel and Properties Department staff report, and Jennifer Wilder is about ready to address council, and welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. Try to get as close to this. There we go. Thank you for the opportunity to address you tonight. The following is a brief update on some information from the zoning and property maintenance areas, including stuff on our pre-sale and our real inspection program, some utility project updates around Oakwood, development and construction update, business update, and some information on an event coming up revealing a Town of Oakwood historic marker. And then I'll finish with just an update on hiring and recruiting in the personnel department. So first is just an update from our zoning department. I'm sorry, I feel like I'm really loud in there. The zoning department reviews zoning proposals and requests and administers permits for improvements that residents make to their property. Our number one goal, of course, is compliance with the zoning code and the property maintenance codes. And our second goal is really to protect the property values of all those involved. In 2021, we issued 347 permits, and there's a little chart here to show you that we average about 362 permits per year. So 347 permits is right on. Now that represents almost $14 million reinvested into the community. And our pre-sale inspection is also, pre-sale and rental inspection program is also administered by the zoning department. That was established in 1968 to ensure that properties are code compliant at the time of sale or brought into compliance shortly thereafter. And it's really important to a town like Oakwood with an aging housing stock just to further protect those property values by ensuring homes are maintained throughout the transfer of property. Information on the program and how to comply is available on the city's website in several locations. And as I mentioned, we've totaled 414 inspections for 2021. We average about 415 inspections per year over the last 5 years, so right on with our averages. The property maintenance tour resumed this past year in 2021. We did not do an annual citywide inspection via automobile in 2020 due to the pandemic, but returned in 2021. While enforcement of the property maintenance code is ongoing, the inspection allows us to go street by street, house by house, in the late spring, early summer, and then we contact owners who may be in violation by letter and work with them on a reasonable deadline to complete any repairs. In 2021, we sent 150 letters, and the most common violations are trees and chipping and peeling paint. And with Oakwood having the designation as a Tree City USA, it's really no surprise that trees are one of our most common concerns. We do have a full page, actually it's a 3-page document on our website. If used in the search feature on the City of Oakwood website, typing in trees in Oakwood, there are lots of frequently asked questions and answers there, such as your rights to trim a tree that overhangs your property, or whose responsibility is for maintenance, if it's in the curb lawn, if it's behind the sidewalk, if it's on a property line, etc. So I encourage folks to visit our website to learn more about their responsibility in maintaining trees on their property. And speaking of trees, but shifting now from private property to right-of-way and easements, the next few slides are about utility projects in Oakwood. The Public Utility Commission of Ohio requires that the power companies inspect and clear 20% of their lines annually, and here in our area, that's AES. And typically, it's not AES that are clearing the lines, it's a contractor. Often it's Fitzwater, that's who our residents see, but it's not always. But this is just to remind folks that folks that are working on behalf of AES should contact private property owners at least 2 days before they would trim anything along the line. And they typically do that by door hanger. So a lot of people don't enter in their front door and they might miss that notice, but we remind folks that that's typically how utilities will reach out. The contractor can enter onto your private property to do work on the easement, and they may leave the cut material behind, but we can pick that up via our yard debris program, or you can use one of our several other yard debris disposal options. Questions and concerns should be addressed by contacting AES line clearance first, and then the city horticulturist if it's not resolved through AES. And we do have information on our website. It's a 2-page document that can be found using the search feature, tree trimming near power lines, for more information. And in other utility updates, 2022 is I'm not sure what year, 8th, 9th, 10th year of a multi-year infrastructure replacement by CenterPoint, formerly known as Vectren. But the good news is that they're scheduled to be finished in 2023. This is a continuation of replacing underground gas distribution pipes and home service lines in Oakwood neighborhoods that I will identify on the 4 following slides. In all work areas, CenterPoint is installing new polyethylene pipes in place of old steel and cast iron pipes and are moving indoor gas meters to outside wall locations. And again, Oakwood residents that are personally affected by the work will receive detailed information from CenterPoint. And again, that's typically just a door hanger on there. Sometimes they'll receive a letter, but it's typically a door hanger. For information about CenterPoint's pipeline projects, there's a map on our website in the Engineering and Public Works section, or folks can contact Tom Long at our Public Works Center with questions. And there's also a map on CenterPoint's website. So Project Area A includes work on the area bordered by Schaefer to the west, Patterson to the south, Acorn to the east, and the Public Works Center really to the north. Project Area B includes work on Far Hills from Beverly south to the Corp line. And Project Area C includes work on the area bound by Ridgeway to the west, Ford to the south, Far Hills to the east, and Harmon to the north. And Project Area D includes work on the area bound by Oakwood Avenue from Park Avenue south to Ridgeway, including Thornhill Road and Briar Hill Road. So again, information on that can be found in the Oakwood scene and also on our website, as well as CenterPoint's website. The last in my utility updates is Point Broadband. Point Broadband is a private internet and telecommunications company that recently announced it will offer fiber to the home services to the Miami Valley. Similar construction has already commenced in Springboro, but they have announced that Oakwood is one of the next communities on their list. Work will occur in the right-of-way and in the easements as they install cabinets, pedestals, and cables, fiber cables to each home. Point Broadband plans to host an open house event here in Oakwood once their plans have been solidified, and will announce construction to residents via letters, postcards, door hangers, yard signs, etc. Construction of the fiber to the home is expected to take place on every Oakwood street. And there are some photos in our most recent Oakwood scene for folks who are interested in seeing what I mean when I say cabinets, pedestals, and cabling. The next few slides focus on development in Oakwood. First, residential. Just a quick update on Point Oakwood construction, which began in 2009. The photo is a recently completed house at the end of Point Oakwood Way. And there are 2 buildable lots that remain. They're on Ledges Trail and face West Shots. And while no permits have been issued on either lot to date, both have been sold. And the Element Oakwood condominiums are fully occupied. For a Far Hills Business District update, new businesses since my last update to you in August of 2021, the following businesses have opened their doors. Stance Physical Therapy at 2306 Far Hills Avenue, which offers physical therapy including running and gait analysis, orthotic evaluations, and personal training. And the shop called Maraluna at 2405 Far Hills, which offers fair trade jewelry, eco-friendly accessories, clothing made from sustainable fabrics, and more at their Oakwood retail store. And then in the coming soon section, Shop Smitten has announced plans to open a second location in the Miami Valley, bringing their successful home and clothing boutique to the space at 2316 Far Hills. Joining them in the space is Ordinary Fare, selling prepackaged foods like baked goods, vegan desserts, salads, and spreads. Information about the space at 2533, 2537 Far Hills. The building has sold and is currently seeking new tenants, which I hope to announce in my next department update, possibly later this summer. And then the PNC Bank located at 2720 Far Hills has closed, but we have not received any permit or use requests for a new tenant yet. Just up the road at Oakwood Avenue Neighborhood Business District updates. There is a new business in the space at 6 Oakwood Avenue, which is the Route Song Retail Center, called VIP Smoke Shop, which offers tobacco and cigars, smoking products, and electronic cigarettes. And also in the Route Song Retail Center, a cookie bakery has announced their plans to open soon. Insomnia Cookies has submitted building permits and a special use application to the Oakwood Planning Commission for extended hours, which will be considered at the Planning Commission's next meeting, April 6th or May 4th. That has not been set yet. The Oakwood Historical Society will hold an unveiling event on Saturday, May 14th, here at 30 Park Avenue, where they will reveal their historic marker that commemorates the town of Oakwood. Two very important dates on that marker are November 7th, 1872, when Isaac Haas and Partners first founded the first Oakwood subdivision, and January 9th, 1908, when the village of Oakwood was incorporated. And there will be more details to come on our website and the Oakwood Historical Society's website as well. Finally, I'll conclude with a few slides about personnel changes with the city. We're excited to announce new hires. Adam Jones, our new water technician who started here in October. And in December, you were introduced to Ross Green and Matt Staley, new public safety officers who started here mid-November. Emily Kraft can be found working at the OCC, primarily evenings and weekends, but you'll see her smiling face there. And then Scott Gibbs and Greg Devers, as recent as last Monday and today, started as new refuse collectors in our Public Works Department. As far as recruitment for seasonal positions is ongoing. We're currently recruiting for day camp counselors, Boulevard and Smith Gardens maintenance, and public works laborers, all which have to be 18 years old, but can work a 40-hour week starting in May through late summer and early fall. Information on the job descriptions and wages can be found on our website. We're also recruiting for pool concessions, front desk, and lifeguards, which have to be 16 years old. We encourage folks to apply soon for first consideration. And then as far as permanent positions for recruitment, we recently closed a recruitment for Account Clerk 1 Utilities, received 33 applications for that position, which is very promising, and we're starting the interview process for that recruitment. The Public Safety Dispatcher recruitment will close this Friday. And then ongoing recruitment for our year-round positions of part-time groundskeeper with our Leisure Services Department and part-time laborer with our Public Works Department. And again, all this information is available under the Jobs key on our website, including position descriptions and wage information, as well as applications that are necessary. And that concludes my department update. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you, Jennifer. Does anyone have any questions?
I do, yes. Thank you so much for everything you're doing, Jennifer. So I'm not sure I noticed this number last time you gave us an update, but 362 permits per year is not out of the ordinary, but I remember Chief Hill telling us there's something like 3,200 properties or homes. So does that mean 1 in 10 homes are requesting permits, or do some do are there multiple permits per home, or?
No, we would probably just count it as one, because we typically will try to, like, for example, if you're putting in a pool and a walkway and a patio, it would just be under as one permit. So okay. I guess it depends on what you're applying for, but no, it typically would just be one.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? All right. Well, thank you for that report, and hopefully we
great
can
job.
get some new tenants here before the end of the summer. Hope we get them sooner. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Great. I now want to introduce Councilmember Hilton for our monthly Oakwood moment.
Thank you, Mayor Duncan. So we always talk about Oakwood as a walking community, but we are also a bicycle-friendly community. And we have a number of things. Well, starting with the far right, this is an average day at Oakwood High School. This is how many kids ride their bikes to work. I mean, to school. Well, it is work. And then Oakwood has established some self-guided routes that are available on the website, and I believe there's some printed copies as well in various places. So if somebody wants to just take a bicycle tour of the city, they can do that. And in the center is something we're particularly proud of because it's a very recent addition. That is Schroyer Road, and that is a bike lane, I believe it's called. And one can go up and down Schroyer on both sides, and it's a dedicated lane to ride one's bike. And then also, we are right in the corner and sort of on the edges of the Dayton-Kettering bike connector, and this is actually renowned throughout the state and even the country as part of a whole trail system. So we are in the second from the left there. That's overlooking the that's from the old recycle center, but you can see where the bike path starts. But it's we're right a mile from Schroyer Road, which some might know as the Dairy Queen. And so it's a great amenity. It used to be just like I believe, I'm going to guess it was a railroad something. But anyway, so it's a great place to get from like UD up to Kettering. And then second from the right, I discovered this without meaning to, but I happened to need something that involved an Allen wrench. There's a toolkit right at the OCC to support our bicycle riders. It's got really everything you could need to take your bike apart or put it back together, and a pump, of course. And one of the things I'm most proud of, the far right, and it is my bike, and I'm not proud of how dirty it is, but you see the sticker. So the Oakwood Safety Department has a program. You get your bike new, or it doesn't have to be new. You come in and you register it, and they write down your number. They take a picture of it, and then they write down all the information about the bike. And then if it gets stolen, they know exactly what it is, and you can report it. And then ideally, the person who was thinking about stealing it will go, I don't think I'm going to steal that bike because it's got a sticker thingy on it. So, and one thing I thought of after I put this together is that I think the Oakwood Community Center has a couple of classes for little ones on bike safety. So but that's also something to look into. So.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice.
It is now time for our city manager's report.
Thank you, Your
Box.
Honor. So the question came up earlier when Jennifer was giving her briefing about the Vectren project, and I can tell you that it started in 2010. So we're in our 12th year of this, and I can vividly remember a number of things over the years that kind of rocked me here at the office. When I'm sitting here minding my own business and don't know what's around the corner. And one of them was when the Vectren folks came a knocking and told us that they were going to replace the entire natural gas infrastructure in our city. And when I said the entire, they said yes, every distribution pipe and every service pipe to every home. And the engineer in me immediately thought, good grief, this is going to be a nightmare and a disaster. And while it has been an enormously challenging project for Vectren, for Miller Pipeline and other contractors and our staff, we've figured it out. And compliments to all involved to the fact that we're now just 2 years from being done with it, and we've really been successful in carrying it out. So at the end of 2023, all the natural gas pipelines in Oakwood will have been renewed, and that's just a major improvement to our city. The other thing I'll say is that cool tool gadget thing with the Allen wrenches hanging on it came through a grant from the Oakwood Rotary Club. So I had to put that pitch in, and I can't remember the Rotarian that sponsored that, but that we put that in about 4 or 5 years ago, and in large part due to the money from the Rotary Club. A few other quick things: the annual Sidewalk, curb, and driveway apron program that we did not do last year, for the first time in several decades due to the COVID and some financial concerns at the time, is in fact taking place this year on the west side of Far Hills, so from the north end to the south end of Oakwood, west side, and we have been marking concrete for replacement for the past maybe week and a half. So there's quite a number of markings out there. If anyone has questions about them, just call the Public Works Department and they'll get their answers. Everyone that has a responsibility for some sidewalk repair will get notice from the city about that. The city itself takes care of the curb and all the driveway aprons. We'll put that project out to bid in about 3 weeks. The annual asphalt repaving project was bid about a week and a half ago, and Barrett Paving was the successful bidder. So we'll be contracting with them. There'll be a list of the streets to be resurfaced in the Oakwood scene that we'll all get in late March, early April. And all the residents on the streets to be milled and overlaid will get a letter from the city here in about 2 or 3 weeks. And we'll tell them all that there'll be some preliminary work done, tree trimming, manhole inspections and repairs needed. We'll adjust some utility lids in the pavement, and maybe fix some catch basins and some other preparatory work before the mill and overlay. And that will, as in a typical year, take place probably between late June and the middle of August, sometime in that time frame. The information about the Far Hills Storm Sewer project, or the engineering work for that, was sent via letter to about 130 Oakwood property owners a few weeks ago. This is the construction of this will be in 2023, probably a 4 to 6 month construction period. It'll be a major project with a replacement sewer being put in on Delwood between East Shantz and Far Hills, and then crossing Far Hills and getting through an easement to Devereaux, and then going down Devereaux to where the I guess the east end of the stream that eventually goes into Elizabeth Gardens begins. It's an open ditch there. And then there will also be work done in a block of 4 Boulevard from roughly East Shantz heading west to Far Hills. So this is, in all those areas I just described, there's existing storm infrastructure, but it's at the end of its useful life, and it needs to be replaced. And in some cases, some larger pipes put in. So again, the engineering work is going to take place, including the field survey work, beginning soon, and it'll take about 6 months or so to complete all that design work and plan preparation, and then that project will be put out to bid. The annual report, which is always one of my favorite things to do, is almost completed. It'll go to the printer in about a week and a half, and it'll be delivered, as we typically do each year, to every property owner. Probably in early April it'll be received, and it'll be 32 pages with an enormous amount of detail about each of our operating departments, including a lot of financial information about the city. And then I can't help but bring up the recycling facility, which I'm so tickled about. It's extremely rare that I drive down Schaefer past there and don't see somebody there, at least one car. And I drive down that street a lot, living on the north end. And about a week ago, the street light was installed, an overhead light there. So we've talked about that being a 24/7 facility, and it was before, but now with a little bit of illumination, it's even more user-friendly. So it's there 24/7, and again, it's heavily used, and I think that'll even just pick up as time goes on. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for City Manager? All right, I was over at that recycling center on Sunday, and it is incredible the amount of cardboard the people in Oakwood buy. They had all 4 of them were overflowing, and they were stacked up in front of the part that was overflowing. They're not supposed to do that, but I think they do it anyway. But thank you. It's now time for council comments. Councilmember Turbin. Thank you. Councilmember Hilton.
No comments, Your Honor.
Councilmember Stevens.
No comments this evening?
Vice Mayor Byington.
Nothing from me, sir.
Well, I've been a Wright State basketball fan since 1990, and you have to win 3 games in March to go to the big dance. So we've won 1. We're currently playing number 2. So wish us luck. Number 3 will be tomorrow if we win tonight. Our next meeting is on Monday, April 4, 2022. We are adjourned.